Hi there, welcome to my views and news. Breaking news from Ethiopia. Breaking Eritrea breaking news from both Ethiopia and Eritrea. Are Eritrean soldiers going to be tried at Ethiopian courts? Are members of Eritrean Defense Force going to face trials in Ethiopian courts? Well, interesting decisions made by the Ethiopian government about the crimes committed during the 2 year long war. Council of Ministers of Ethiopia has approved transitional justice policy draft. We'll try to analyze some key points of this draft. Before that, we know that in November 2020, war broke out between Tigray forces and Ethiopian military, federal forces supported by Eritrean military and Amhara forces, Afar forces too. Eritrean military was involved in this war. It operated in the first and third rounds of fighting in support of Ethiopian military. Though Eritrea denied its military presence when the war broke out, its military presence in Ethiopia. Ethiopia also denied later it was established that Eritrean boots were on the ground in Tigray. Tigray has been accusing both Ethiopian National Defense Force and Eritrean Defense Force soldiers of having committed atrocities and massacres of civilians in the Tigray region. We have seen some reports by Human Rights Watch, Amnesty International, Ethiopian human rights organizations confirming that human rights abuses were committed and some of the abuses could amount to war crimes. A UN inquiry was also conducted in collaboration with Ethiopian human rights organization, but that inquiry was rejected by Tigray. Then UN formed another inquiry commission. UN Human Rights Council formed an inquiry commission into the war crimes committed in Ethiopia during 2 year long war. But Ethiopia refused to cooperate with that commission, and that commission could not investigate practically, though it submitted its reports, but it could not conduct any investigations in Ethiopia. Ethiopia has been saying that investigations will be conducted locally, that indigenous transitional justice mechanism will be introduced, and those responsible for war crimes will face trials. We know that EU, US, international human rights organizations, they have been calling for accountability for war crimes committed during Tigray war. By the way, Tigray accuses the federal government, soldiers, and Amhara forces, Amhara militia members, Eritrean soldiers of having committed atrocities, human rights abuses. While Tigrayan soldiers were also accused of war crimes committed in Amhara and Afar regions of Ethiopia. Discussions have been underway. A group was established to finalize a draft for the transitional justice mechanism policy. Draft was approved. Draft for the establishment of transitional justice mechanism to hold people accountable for war crimes during Tigray war. The draft has been approved by Ethiopian Council of Ministers yesterday. Now, this draft, obviously approved, is going to turn into a law, and under this draft now, the accountability will start for a war crimes. Two important points which we have learned about this draft is that firstly, no special courts have been established. Rather, special trials will start at regular Ethiopian courts. Firstly, though people were demanding that special courts should be established. But that proposal was rejected, and regular courts will hear these cases. Second point is very important. Tigray has been saying that Eritrean military committed human rights abuses in Tigray. So that is why there should be an international investigation, because Tigray cannot hold Eritrea accountable. International investigation should hold Tigray soldiers accountable as well. But the International Inquiry Commission was rejected by Ethiopian and Eritrea. So the international inquiry is not possible. Now, Tigray wants Eritrean soldiers to be tried at Ethiopian courts. And this transitional justice policy draft is clear that foreign nationals can face trials, they can be put to trial in Ethiopia. It is in accordance with Ethiopian law. If the foreigners have committed crimes in Ethiopia, in Ethiopian territory, it means that Eritrean soldiers will face trials in Ethiopia. Will they be summoned? No, I think they'll be tried in absentia. So Tigray's call has been heard. Federal government has agreed that the internal perpetrators from Tigray, Amhara, Afar, ENDF, militia, etc., they'll face trials too. And secondly, external perpetrators, they'll also face trials, but in absentia. What will be the outcome of such an investigation, such a trial, if foreigners are found involved? What will the government do after that if the foreigners are found guilty? Will the Ethiopian government demand the custody of these Eritrean soldiers? Will the government refer the cases to some international body? That remains to be seen. We'll have to see. But so far, it's clear that law is clear. Tigray has been assured that Eritrean soldiers can be tried at Ethiopian courts. But we'll have to see, will there be any actual hearing against Eritrean soldiers in Ethiopian courts? That we'll see in coming months. But it's a very important step towards holding people accountable. Around 500,000 people were killed in this 2-year-long war. How many human rights abuses were committed, no one knows, but keeping in view the casualty figure, massacres have been committed in Afar, Amhara, Tigray regions. There's no doubt about that. Revenge attacks have been carried out. Tigray mentions Aksom, Amhara mentions Maikadra, Amhara mentions Chena. Afars also mentioned a massacre allegedly by Tigray fighters in Afar territory. In Kobo, 2 people were killed. In other parts of Tigray, people were killed too. So if these investigations start, it means that investigations cannot be concluded within a few days or weeks. Ethiopia-Eritrea relations are not very friendly these days. So far, Ethiopia has not officially announced the launch of investigations or trials against Eritrean soldiers. But since this is Tigray's demand that Eritrean military must be held accountable, and now when transitional justice policy draft has been approved, it means Tigray will push for the Eritrean soldiers to be tried at Ethiopian courts in absentia. What will the government do? That remains to be seen. It's open to discussion, but groundwork is being laid, it seems, for the trial of Eritrean soldiers at Ethiopian courts. And if it starts, what will be its impact on Ethiopia-Eritrea relations? How will Eritrea respond? These are the questions which will find answers in the coming years. But it's a long way to go. It's not that today or tomorrow people are going to be held accountable. No, investigations conducted, then trials, and it takes time. And why would the federal government allow its soldiers to be punished at courts? Because if ENDF members are punished by the courts and they are announced guilty for human rights abuses, what will be its impact on ENDF's morale? ENDF is conducting military operation in Amhara, in Oromia too. Will ENDF channels accept the action against ENDF members? These are very important questions. It's a long way to go. Holding people for war crimes, holding people accountable for war crimes is not going to be easy, it seems. Is the government only trying to satisfy the foreign organizations, human rights organizations, UN Human Rights Council, which have been calling for accountability, calling for a transitional justice mechanism? Is this move aimed at pacifying the outsiders, which are linking delivery of aid, approval of assistance to Ethiopia to these accountability measures? Or is the government sincere in holding people accountable? That we'll see in coming months. Thanks for watching.